This week on the farm. Hi. So, the priority for me this week was continuing on with the occultation process. The tarps for me arrived Thursday, and I was able to finagle them into my coop area, which is right outside of the field that I'm going to be placing them in. When I ordered them, the book reading, I'm really referencing a lot for this season. It's the Living Soil Handbook. And in it, they kind of mentioned that the biggest piece of plastic that you're going to want to move on your own is about like 25 by 100 feet. So that's what I got. You never know with like weight restriction suggestions if it's like overly cautious or overly optimistic of the person's ability. This was like not even 100 pounds. So definitely movable, especially when you have a dolly. It's really like incredibly useful to have all of these like wheeled mechanism things. It makes moving things around like so much more manageable. Who doesn't love a dolly? So, for the occultation process, it began with weeding any of the really like aggressive perennial rhizomus weeds that I had in the field. Mainly the blackberry bramble. It's like a hydra, you know? Once you cut the top of it, it doesn't mean it's going to die. It just means that like the roots will put out a new head somewhere else. And if you sever the roots into separate pieces, they'll all grow out into their own separate heads. So with blackberry, you really want to like gut it and gut it all out. So I had to do that. And I'd started that at the beginning of, or I guess at the end of last year. I was really focusing on like the vineyard and places where it had kind of started overgrowing things that I had wanted to survive, like the grapes. Taking out the ones in this field, it was like nothing. They were like little tiny babies. So it was just like yunking them. And then after pulling out the blackberries, I was able to measure with my little measuring wheel, which was really fun to finally be able to use, measure out how much field I needed to mow. Because an important part of getting everything ready to lay out the tarps was getting everything mowed really low after getting all of the blackberries weeded because you didn't want any tufts of grass to be sticking up and keeping the plastic from being as close to the ground as possible because you really want that contact to maintain heat and also to prevent any wind from coming under and like swooping the tarp up. Speaking of preventing swooping the tarp up, another part of the process this week was getting sandbags and then filling the sandbags. And what is shocking is that I did it over the course of 2 days. And the first day, I was only able to fill and move 15 sandbags using the wheelbarrow. But then the wheelbarrow wheel was just like fully flat in a way that was not usable anymore. So the next day, I used my car, which I just kind of like I forgot I can use I can just use it if I need to in the back. So I did that and I was able to fill and move 50 sandbags in pretty much the same amount of time I filled and moved 15. So use your tools wisely. And I also kind of like smoothed out my process a little bit better. There's this like lean farming, but it's like it started as I think it started in like the Hyundai processing plants and like just being mindful of like where your body is in relation to where you're working and kind of keeping that in mind and reducing movements and how that kind of saves time. And look, it did, didn't it? So um, that was nice. My Living Soil Handbook recommended doing every 8 to 10 feet, placing a sandbag. So on my 24 by 100 foot tarps, I'm doing four along the short end and then 10 along the long end and then one in the middle. And then there's going to be two tarps that are connected because I'm doing like 48 feet by 100 feet going one way, and then I'm doing a 24-foot by 100-foot bed going perpendicular to those in the same plot. That I'm going to plan on having perennials in because I want that area to end up being perennially focused. Yeah, so I got that area all mowed and weeded, and I got all my sandbags filled and placed. This week I picked up an earthway cedar, and it's like looks really nice. I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait to whip that bad boy out. It came with all the plates. It's fully functioning. It has this little chain in the back that seals up the little furrows it makes, and I'm very excited. On Sunday, I was able to pick up a garden cart kind of thing that can hold up to 1,000 pounds. It hasn't been opened yet, even, so it'll be fresh to death. I'm very excited about that. Maximizing maneuverability and all that. The wheelbarrow is I'm gonna make it work. I'm gonna do what I can to fix it. I have an air compress or tire gun or whatever, so I can refill the tires, but it seems to be a leaking issue. And there's like some bolts I need to tighten. Yeah, I need to do that. It'll be nice to have this as a backup because I don't know how long the wheelbarrow will be with me for. Everything went, I really got a lot done this week and I'm very happy with myself. So, still waiting on the permitting, but I've been hearing back from the engineer and that's going well. Irrigation situation has to wait until the county situation's figured out. I had a handyman come out and he kind of assessed the water damage on the building that I was looking at converting into a cold storage using a cool bot, but he recommended, and I do think that he has a very good point, but that it might be more cost efficient to just getting a shed or some kind of like DIY shed kit and then insulating that. The Coolbot website specifically even has like a tutorial on how to do all of this. So I think that's kind of going to be the route I go. And for anyone who is not aware, a Coolbot is a specific company, but it's able to make an insulated room with an AC unit into cold storage for vegetables. Yeah, so that's something that I've got to kind of figure out a little bit. So that was kind of like a lot of what this week was. On Saturday, I did go to the Survivor 50 Challenge idol hunt in Oregon. That was at the Cape Meares Lighthouse. And it was fun. I'm not going to hold my breath about winning that raffle because there were a ton of people there, but it was a good time. I love Survivor. I'm glad that show is clearly still very popular. You get nervous sometimes. You don't hear about it the way you hear about other shows. And I just want it to go on forever and ever. I don't ever want to live in a world without Survivor. So, ooh, I almost started crying. And I just have to say, I saw two teen bald eagles fighting over territory in my front yard. And I thought that was an incredible sight to behold. And I hope you're taking care of yourself. Bye.